everybody and welcome back. Well, you see me reclining today because I'm still recovering from having to spend money I didn't expect to spend. So all will be revealed during the video. So what we're going to do this week? Well, I've been busy polishing and bead blasting, so another lorry. So what we're going to do today is heat up the cases, put the new bearings in. We're going to do the conrods because I had a couple of comments about the gudgeon pin in the pistons, and people had a couple of people mentioned that I could put Teflon plugs in the end to hold the gudgeon pin in, ream the pistons and then put Teflon plugs in, or ream the pistons and then redo the groove. But I got thinking about it, and it struck me that if I make the pistons match the gudgeon pins, then if ever I myself, or probably I'll be selling this, needs to replace the pistons, they're going to have pistons machined. Whereas if I do the bush in the small end eye to fit the piston as standard, then all I need to do is replace pistons because the gudgeon pin will fit. So I got a piece of bronze. It's I can't remember what grade, 95 something. It's an aluminium bronze, which Dick recommended to me, and I didn't see the point in getting solid round and then boring and turning most of it away. So this is, the OD is larger than the ID of the small end eye in the conrod, and the ID is smaller than the 17mm for the gudgeon pin. So we'll machine that, and it's expensive, so I only got 3 inches because I only need, 2 1/2, 3/4 inch pieces. So we'll do that, and hopefully during the course of the week, because my normal supply didn't have the couple of bits I wanted, we should be getting a new tube for inside the crankcase, the sludge trap. So what we'll do is, as I say, we'll get bearings in the cases. We will put the new sludge trap in the crank. We'll do the conrod so they can be bolted on. I've got new conrod big end bolts and nuts coming. And then we could actually put the bottom half of the cases together with the crank in. And I've also got coming that little needle bearing that goes inside the kickstart. So we could even put the gearbox in. I don't want to put too much together because I'm still manhandling it, although we're in a position where I can fasten it to this bash plate, and rather like the Royal Enfield, we could take the frame off the engine and not have to manhandle the engine if I build it there. So there's all that done. I took the saddle along to the upholsterer, and some businesses' attitudes to their customers is strange. I went in and there's a nice lady that sort of comes to the counter, and I took it with the metal base and everything because I wanted to explain how it all went together and what the curves were, and if he needed to use other foam, that I supplied the foam just so he could see, the shape that it's supposed to be. So I said, can I talk to the upholsterer? So off she went, and she came back and she said, oh, he's busy right in the middle of doing, I don't know, workers' comp calculations. And I thought to myself, what's he doing? Adding them up on his fingers that he might lose his place. Anyway, that's what he thinks about his customers, but unfortunately he's one of these people that does really good work. She thought it'd only be about $100. You may remember the small saddle for the Enfield cost $170, but I think they did more work on that. Anyway, so that's in. I just ordered the sprocket and its mounting plate from Sprocket Specialist, so that's going to be, with the price of aluminium now, probably a couple of hundred, well, no, be over $100. But the big thing, and it's something I'm going to explain to you now, which is totally my fault, is about the barrels. So let's move you over to the bench so I can show you the problem that has arisen. I say a problem, it's easily solvable, but I've got to pay out more money. So anyway, when I'm fully recovered, I'll get up and I'll show you what the problem is. the ID to fit. Anyway, there's the liner I took out of the KZ 1000, and I have to admit I didn't take any real measurements when I was planning this. Plus, my mind was completely fixed on the BSA 300 that I did, right? So there's a BSA 250 cylinder with its liner, and you know, we just took that one out, machined a different one and put it in. So I sent an email to the chap that's doing the barrels, and I mentioned to him that I'd managed to source some liners and pistons, and he wrote back and he said, well, the flange on the liner is going to be close to the cylinder head bolts. And that set me thinking. As I say, I suddenly thought, shit, I didn't do a lot of measurements on this. But I also thought to myself, well, the one I put in the BSA covered that a little bit, so I just milled it out to match. I could do the same with this, but I was forgetting that this is an alloy barrel and the Triumph barrels are cast iron, and because they're different materials, as we've mentioned in sort of things where people have given me different methods of doing things, there are different considerations in design. So when I looked, let me move these out of the way, put that in. First thing I noticed was, damn, he's right, I impinge on those holes. At first I didn't think it was a problem until I realised, again, because of the material, these holes are tapped. With the BSA it's through bolts. With this, the head is actually bolted to the barrels. And of course the thing is that when they design this, they design it taking that into account, that it's going to need a liner. So you'll notice, for instance, here, this is 67 mil bore, that's a 69 mil bore, but the distance from, look, the inner wall of there to the inside of the bore is over 400 thou. But on this, just over 200. So there's 200 thou extra metal there. So I was able to bore this out to take a larger liner, but there I couldn't. Now of course you say, well, wait a minute, I thought they used the KZ pistons. Well, they did, because this is 69, the KZ piston is 40, is 70, so it's only 40 thou. It's only like 2 overbores. It's only gone plus 40 thou. So there's no way I can put a liner in there that I can see. So what I'll have to do, and as I say, this was the painful part, is I'll have to get them Nickersil coated, which the chap can do, that's no problem, but it's about another $300 onto the price of the barrels. So I'll write back to him and tell him, okay, let's plate the bores. I think I mentioned he uses his in vintage Matisse motocrosses, and he says he revs the balls out of his engines, and the lining sort of bears up very well. But I must admit, I know the process and whatever, but I've never had, because I don't play around with two-strokes, I've never really had any experience of Nickersil or chrome-lined cylinders. So anyway, that's that. Let's get on and look at the conrods. So I've cleaned up both conrods, and what I've also done is I've put a little stamp on each of them. There we go, that one. So that's the timing side, this is the drive side one, and the end caps have been stamped on the same side, so everything will go back together the way it should. And I've also made that. So what we're going to do is put these in the oven, which is warming up now, and then just drift them out. They should come out easily enough. Again, it's not the same difference in coefficients of expansion alloy to brass or bronze as it is alloy to steel, so we might need to knock it to get it out. So anyway, that's all ready. So let me put them in the oven. Now then, I tried tapping one of these out after it was good and hot, but it wouldn't come out. So I think they're going to have to be pressed out. So let's have a go at that. I'm doing this a bit cat-handed because I've got all the bikes out of the paint room. So you'll have to excuse me if I occasionally get in the way. There it goes. Alright, that's one done. Let me go and get the other one out of the oven, and that'll be that done. Okay, there's our two bushes out. They are actually split bushings, and I've just done a quick measurement. The eye is 782, the bush is 780, so it was a 2000th fit in there. So we will make the 782 the OD for the new bushes, and obviously for the inside we're going to need whatever the imperial equivalent of 17mm is, seeing as the lathe is imperial. Alright, let's start to look at that. Right, I've measured the pin to give me the ID of the bushing, and it comes out at 669, and I measured the OD of the bushes that came out of the small end eye, and that's 7815. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. Let's put this bronze in the lathe. Right, I've taken the first one down to the correct OD. Actually got it right as well, which amazed me. So now I'm going to bore it out to the ID we want for the pin. And what I'm going to do, or attempt to do, is bore it out about, well, I should bore it out about 1 thou more than I need, and then when it's pressed into the small end eye, close up, it should still be a nice fit. But I'm actually going to take it to what it should be, because if I don't get it right, guesstimating if you like, then I've screwed up and I've got to press this out and make another one. Whereas if I'm sure it's going to be a little bit small, go to steam shops and we put it on his horn and we get it exactly to the right size we want. So we'll do our first pass to get our start for measurement. So actually, here's a bit of serendipity. I fell foul once again of drop down menus when ordering online. George is out mowing his lawn, if that's what you're wondering what that noise is. His foot's in a cast because he's had surgery on his foot, so he put a big hand operated lever on the clutch pedal so he can still go out and do stuff. So what I was going to say is, when I ordered this, was one of those cases where I looked at it online and said, yep, that's the one, send me one. But I never noticed that in the little drop down, the one that came first was the left hand one instead of the right hand one that I wanted. But I found that, you know, I run the lathe in reverse, I run the feed in reverse, and now actually, because I'm going that way, I don't have to worry about the cross slide, because, you know, before you've got to go into negative numbers. Here I'm just putting it as normal. Anyway, here goes. So put it in reverse. Now you see, I can just wind it in instead of having to wind it out. Right, there we go. So take that out. set our 0, we'll go in a couple of thou. I'm going to have a slow feed because it's quite a thin boring bar and it sticks out a bit. I need it to stick out to there to get it long enough anyway, so we'll go slow so we don't get too much flex in it. Which is going to be a bit boring for you to watch, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run this in and measure it with the telescoping gauge and a micrometer, and then I'll just go from there. So I'm going to switch you off. So there's the first one done. It's going to be a press fit into that, which is right. And it's a nice sliding fit in that. So when that's pressed in, that'll probably have to be honed very slightly. I've measured it actually, I have gone over 1 thou. It's reading 6. What was it supposed to be? 669, it's 670. So that should be about perfect. So all I've got to do now is hope I can make another one as good as that. Right, so there's the two of them made, and here's a little piece to press that in. So I've got the oven warming up. I know it didn't make that much difference pressing them out, but here I'm just going to warm up the alloy a bit, and the bronze will still be just at room temperature. So, but I'll press them in anyway. So let me do that. Then while the oven's still warm, we're going to stick the case in to get the bearings, because I solved the mystery of the missing bearing. And just in case you're wondering, the missing bearing was a product of advancing senility. I knew I needed 4 bearings. 2 main bearings, 2 gearbox bearings. And it struck me I only had 3. And from the engine numbers, there were 2 engine on 1 drive. The drive system works on a number 70 for engine, 57 for transmission, so on. And when I looked, I could have sworn that that one was the one for the main shaft. And when I checked in the book, it goes in this case, it was a 6203, which is like a wheel size bearing. And when I checked, I had a 6203, so I put it in there, thought everything was fine. But of course, actually, this is the one that goes in there. The one I was missing was the big one that goes on here. So fortunately, that also was a standard bearing, 6206. So I just went along to my local, what used to be a motor factor when I was a lad, but here they just call it an auto parts store, and I was able to get one, so we're ready to put the bearings in. Right then, let's see if we can get any of these bearings in. Put that one in first because we've got a clip to go on it. So if I have to heat this back up, it won't fall out. Okay, number 1. Oh, that one just fell in, so it's probably going to fall back out again. So let's do this little bearing. I'll put it in without burning my hand. Okay, that goes in there. Then we use this piece with the cutout. Sounds as if it's in. Looks as if it's in. Just give it another tap. That's in. Ow! Guess what happened there? And then, last but by no means least, in goes that one. We're all set, we just let them cool down. So, we've got all our bearings in, so now we'll get this done because I've got my new tube and the plug, which, as I say, now you can get once with an Allen, so that's good. So what we'll do is we'll give this a wash through and then we'll put the tube in. So generally all I do is get a cloth there. The thing you've got to remember though is when you're washing something with a closed end, start at the closed end. If you start from this end, you're just going to wash all the muck up into the blind end. So we'll start here. And just keep washing until it gets nice and clean. And there's a hole there. Give that a good clean off. I put a cloth there, look, and most of it's gone on the bench anyway. Right. I've got the doors open again because it got hot. Could put the little AC on, but that's at the other end. Alright. So what we need now, you can actually see it in here. There's the hole appearing. Excuse me. See, the way they tell you to get it out in the manual is to use something like an old spoke. But you'd have to cut the head off, and then that hole, you put that up in there, hook it in the hole and pull it out. But of course they're always too stuck in for that to just happen. So line it up so you've got your hole there. And then you put this in. I think what I'm going to do actually is wash these threads a little bit, and I've brought some red Loctite to put on the plug. So that's all I'm going to do. Alright. Oh dear. Gonna have to spend more money now. Buy some Loctite. I'll put this in the vise in a minute so that I can tighten up. Yep, that's just nice. Right, let me put this in a vise. Right, so the last thing we'll do is put this plug in. Oh, come on. I do actually have another bottle, but I was hoping I could get enough out of this. Getting tight in my old age. There we go. Oh, bugger. That is almost certainly this little bit of an edge. Let me look at this, because the red stuff's going to go off. Well, I got it in. I had to work on the threads a fair bit. So I think I might just put a little punch there, just to be on the safe side. But the last thing to check is that everything lines up, so we put some air in. Can I? Excuse me. Come out there. Oh, it's at the bottom. And let's see. Coming out that side as well. So that's all ready to get the conrods put on it. Right, well, I left it a little bit late to take stuff to steam shops, so we're not going to get the small end eye bushes honed for this week, so I can't put the conrods on the crank, so I can't put the crank at the bottom end. So what we'll do is we'll put together our this is the inner gearbox cover, so this is going to have all the gear change on it and everything like that. I've just discovered, as maybe when I was ordering bearings as well, I ordered two, you can't see it, it's in there, two of the bronze bushes. Well, it's a thrust washer rather, that go at the back of the gearbox. Why I ordered two, I don't know, but I've got all the new bits I need for the kickstart and everything. So our first job, because there's that little needle bearing that goes inside the kickstart mechanism. So first of all, look, there's the needles coming out. We've got to get that out of there. So let me look and see what I've got, because we can't, obviously we can't heat this up. It's steel in steel. It just wouldn't do any good at all. They'd both expand basically at the same rate. So I've got to get something in there that will pull it out. I'm not sure if this is big enough for the thing I made, but we'll look. Let me have a look and see what I can pull out. Now I'm not sure if this is going to work, because inside this there's a ledge for the bearing to press up against. So there's very little of the backside of the bearing to get at. And this is on that. I've shown you this before. Pardon me. This is a concrete anchor. So it's got a wedge in it that opens the end out. So I filed the end so it's got little grips. So I've tightened that up. Can't tighten it too much or it'll just grip the inside. But basically I just tighten this up. Right, like that. That's what that's on there for, so I can hold it. That gets behind the bearing, and then hopefully with the slide hammer we can pull the bearing out. No, see there's the end that grips. It's not much and there's bugger all to get hold of. Actually that might have moved a little bit. Let's see if I can get this in anymore. See, there's the end. As I said, the thing this bolt's attached to is a wedge. so it opens the end out. But there's next to nothing to get a grip of behind it. Got to knock the wedge back a little bit, so let me see if I can get behind that. Now I think I might have moved this bearing forward enough that the grips have got in behind it, because I've just been able to tighten it up some more. I think it's moving a bit. But I'll just have to persevere, and I'll bring you back if it starts to move. Right then, what I've done is I've used a carbide burr to very carefully break through the actual wall of the bearing. And I think, there it is, I might be able to just grab a hold of that. Not quite. Might be able to grab hold of that with something. Hold on. Let's see what this does. And out it comes, and see, there's where I just ground through that. Okay, now we can put a new one in. And here we go to press the new one in. It's not that tight a fit. And there we go. All pressed in. Alright, let me put the little ratchet mechanism, and everything together. And now we can start putting everything on this cover. Right, so the first thing that goes back in is the little sort of escapement mechanism. There's a bit of wear on it, but nothing untoward. Which way does that go? Let's have a look at the thing. Oh, the pin sticks out, the little pin end sticks out. That goes in there. And that goes in there. Right. Next thing is the little stop for the kickstart. Now, that's two different ends. Which way does it look as if it goes on? Like that, or like that. Can't really tell from the diagram. I think like that. We're going to put a little bit of red Loctite on this. I think we'll be able to try this before we finally put it all together. See, there's my new thing of Loctite. And then that, because this is for the kickstart spring to catch on as well, goes in there. That. Okay. And now we put the kickstart in. That only goes, actually there's got a little bump on it there, look, it goes up against that bearing, so that's the two ends of its travel. I would say though that that should go against that end, so let's change that around. Right, caught that before the Loctite had set up. As you can see, I think it's a much better fit. Alright, so that's that bit done. What's next? Right, here's the slider for the selector forks. That's got a flat on it, and the flat, hang on, that's got a flat. I would have assumed the flat was for that, but it doesn't go in that far. So why has it got a flat on it? Doesn't show flat on the diagram. And hold on a second. Right, I've just got to admit that I've just deleted a piece of video because I started to put this together and I got it wrong. So let's do it again. I put the main shaft in and then I found out you couldn't put this one onto there with the main shaft in. So that is why the lock washer looks as if it's being used even though it's a new one. So let me tell you again what I was just telling you. Right, here's the main shaft. It has got a spacing piece on it. Then there, hopefully you can see this, there's almost like it's the end of a keyway. And on this lock washer there's a little tab that's folded in. That goes into there. Now you see I've made a black mark on that. I've also put a black mark on the bearing there because these little tabs are little, and what can happen is as you start tightening up the washer will move and that'll come out of its little slot. So I've actually bent this in a little bit more. Let's see if we can do this. I'm probably going to get in the way because it's going to be fiddly. Right, inside of that there's a shim, so that is going to go on there like that. Then that is going to go in there like that. Now then, will this all go together? That is going to go, will that go on there? Yeah, so I only needed to have that one on first. Right, so what I'm going to do actually is go and put this in the vise. Well, the only reason I put this in the vise is because gravity is going to help us to put this lock washer on. So there you can see the little black mark there. Hang on, of course the bearing's moved. Let's put a new little black mark on. So I'm putting a little black mark over there now. Now I can put this on and keep those little black marks lined up while I tighten this down. That is maybe why, see they've moved already, there we go. That is perhaps why somebody popped this. You remember there's three little pop marks? Because they weren't happy with the lock washer, perhaps it kept moving. So anyway, all I do now is tighten this down, and as I tighten it down I'm keeping an eye on my two little black marks, and as long as they stay lined up then I know the little tab is in the little keyway thing. Whoa! Yes, it is. Okay. Of course, one of the points is over the top of it now, but I can still see both black marks. Now I've taken the screwdriver away. So anyway, I'll fold the two tabs up and then we'll get on. Now we're going to forestall two comments from the last little bit. When I said the bearing moved, I meant the inner race, because I was grasping this and the position of the little cutout on this shaft had moved in relation to where I'd marked the inner race. That was all. And you're all shouting, oh, the lock washer moved. Well, the little tang, the little tab, is smaller than the cutout it fits into, so it could move. You saw it just move round to be up against the stop. Alright? So don't inundate me with comments about that. Right, now the next thing is to put this in there, like thusly. Alright, and then we're going to put that rod in, which has now, of course, miraculously disappeared. Aww. Where the bloody hell did that go? Alright, let me find that. It was in the crankcase half. I was checking to see about this little flat. Now I can pull this in and out, so we'll put it together now. And I've got a manual, a digital manual, PDF one. I'll check to see if it mentions which way it goes in. I say that doesn't go in. It might go in far enough actually to... No, it doesn't. Anyway, so let's have a look, see if we get these right. Turn the diagram round so we're facing the same way. Okay, so we have, are they the same size? Yeah. So we have one like thus and one, oh, I've put that one on the wrong way around. Like thus. I've lost, oh there it is. And then that goes in there. We'll give all this a bit of an oil. I don't need to oil it there, I can oil it there and there and there. Like that. Then this piece of course goes in there like thus. Does it go through it? No, it won't go through that way. We're going to have to slide these about to get them into here. And then we've got the pin that goes through there. Can I get that in? Yes. Oh, now I've got it stuck. This is Saturday, by the way. I'm sort of... Oh, bugger, how did that get stuck in there? Which way does that go? That one goes in. There it goes. No, you go in that one. And you go in that one. And then with a little bit of jiggling, that lines up. Ta-da! Now this has got an O-ring on it. It's a bit of a flat O-ring, so let's see if we can put a new O-ring on it. Right, I put a new O-ring on and I've got myself a split pin, which for all those people who get bent out of shape about split pins, I've shortened and I've cut one leg slightly longer than the other leg. And my God, the hole's about there. I wonder which way it's supposed to go in. I don't suppose it matters, does it? Of course, it shows it going in sideways in the drawing. You know, I want to cut that too short. Let me cut a slightly longer one. Right, I'm back. That looks good. There we go, one that way, and I'm going to stick this screwdriver in my hand here in a minute. I'll try to do it so you can see it. One the other way. Okay. Time's getting on again. Let's see, so that is all that. Now the next thing we have to do is we have a bag full of stuff, bag full of stuff, bag full of stuff, bag full of stuff. We have a bag full of stuff which has got springs and all sorts in it. So let me lay that out and check what we've got and what goes where. So these are the bits. Now the actual clutch operating mechanism is a la Royal Enfield. If you remember the Indian TriBSA, there are 3 ball bearings, or 3 balls, in these little depressions. And when you pull on that, they're forced out of the depressions onto the flat part of the plate, and the centerpiece moves. So you're going up and down. So the clutch rod is on the back of there. When you pull that, that pushes down. So, fair enough, and you know I like my Royal Enfields. But honestly, and I take my life in my hands when I say this, can you think of a more complicated way than to design the whole gear change mechanism and the clutch operating mechanism is one? I mention taking my life in my hands because the last time, as you've heard me do before, I complained about Triumph designs. I got a comment that said, stop complaining about the design and buy some decent tools, you twat. Actually, a couple of days later the comment had been taken down. But anyway, I can't remember how it goes together. And that bit isn't on this page of the parts book. So, well, oh, it's 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get this finished. Too many things cropped up. So we'll do that, and we'll do the rest of the bottom of the engine when I see you next time. And I'm saying when I see you next time because I don't think there'll be a video next week. Linda's birthday is on Wednesday and we're going away for a few days, and it might be a short video. I can get this done and that. It might just be finishing off the bottom. I'll see what I can do. But anyway, that's as much as I can get done this week. So until I see you next time, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.